come on, man. You're making me feel bad for clipping the hair, man. Embrace the bald. You know? That's what you got to do. But we also need to embrace something else. Nvidia. Well, Nvidia. Today is the big day. Stock market. Trailing sideways, not really giving us direction. Cryptocurrency is taking a bit of a tumble to the downside. But today's live stream, we're going to talk about 3 assets. 2 of them you're probably aware. And of course, the yen, that doesn't get that much attention paid to, has actually got a little bit of a problem that could really cause a major issue in the marketplace. Now, it's not because I'm negative. I'm just letting you know that things are happening over there in Japan. We're focused on the battle between the Federal Reserve and the US government. Donald Trump, for the first time in 111 years, has the US or president ever fired someone from the Federal Reserve. Like, this is absolutely wild. We've also had great news that the euro's pulling back a little bit and saying that they're not going to be doing their tariffs when they were the aggressors at first. Now they're starting to pull back because they can appreciate that it's going to hurt business. So let's break it all down, ladies and gentlemen, and make sense of why these 3 assets are going to dictate what's going to happen in the marketplace moving forward. The question on your mind should be this: is this bull run sustainable, or are we getting ready for a little bit of a shock? Let's break it all down, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the live stream today. And I am so bright. The room's so bright. Am I really that bright? You know what? Don't worry. John Travolta's in the house. Oh, my days. That's a compliment, man. It's all good. Here we go. So, in front of you, we got Bitcoin to the left, Ethereum in the middle, Solana on the just other middle, and of course, we've got NASDAQ to the right, okay? But we're not here to talk about that just yet. So if you are into price action and all that madness, just stick around. Let me break down the story for you, which will take about 5-10 minutes. And then we'll get into some price action, highlight some levels on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, NASDAQ, and then we'll let you guys be. So the big theme today, ladies and gentlemen, is, of course, Nvidia. This is a stock that's got around $4.5 trillion market cap. You want to pay attention to when these guys tell us whether their revenues are okay or not. The big picture right now is suggesting that investors are trying to understand the story between China and Nvidia. China said to all its companies and everyone around mainland China, stop buying the H20 product. Now Nvidia's coming out with another product called the B30. So maybe that's just trying to compensate for the fact that they're not going to be getting that much intervention, or should I say sales from China. Now, something you do need to take into consideration as well going into it. People are doubting that Nvidia itself can sustain these stellar results that they keep on coming out with. Let me just go over and show you. What I'm going to do right now is explain to you how you can focus on certain stocks within a sector, okay? And we're going to back the logic that maybe Nvidia is going to be okay. We're going to work out whether or not tech itself is sustaining the marketplace, because all investors want is a reason to believe that money is going into tech, right? In front of you is Nvidia's balance sheet, for the better word. Where is it fundamentally as a stock? It's flawless. It's not stopping going up. Now, from a technical point of view, you can see that volume is tapering off. Bottom right, you can see it's going nowhere, but price is going up. A couple of divergence traders are coming in saying, yeah, baby, this is great news. Let's start shorting Nvidia, okay? Now, going into this article over here, there is an expectation, or there is a wide gap between the expectation of the results that are going to come out later on at the close. We're talking about 15 billion. How mad is that? Look at this. Highest revenue estimate coming in at around 63 billion versus the low side of 48 billion. What does that tell you? Investors are mixed. There's nothing like they're up in the air about whether or not Nvidia can actually sustain with what's going on in the fact that China and the tariffs. Are they able to still deliver? So we've got to say to ourselves, okay, then if Nvidia doesn't really come through with anything, fundamentally, is it a time to buy Nvidia when it pulls back? As a stock, in terms of quarterly earnings, this is what you want to look out for. The acceleration in the quarterly earnings. If this next quarterly earnings result is not accelerating. That means if the earnings is not above 33% and the sales is not above 69%, investors would see that as potentially a bubble in the marketplace, that Nvidia has met its peak. Currently trading at all-time highs, guys. It's currently up 0.23% in the out-of-hours markets. It's getting so close to breaking even further to the upside. Even the speculation itself on Nvidia performing well is going to fuel the market to the upside. You've got to be very careful as we get close to the earnings, because NASDAQ has the tendency to keep on climbing higher and higher and higher. Then as we get towards the last 30 minutes or so before the earnings come out, NASDAQ slumps. Just make sure that if you're in longs on NASDAQ, that you're managing your expectations, okay? Now, moving forward. This right here kind of shows you where we are with AI. This is the Ramp AI Index, which basically says how many US companies are effectively subscribing and paying AI services. Look, every sector's going. Technology, retail, accommodation, food, healthcare, finance. So in other words, AI is completely ripping it apart. And Nvidia is part and parcel the fuel of that. So we can judge it based off people's human nature to assume that in various sectors that they are going to keep on killing it. Going back into Nvidia for a split second. Here are a number of other companies within the sector. You've got Astera Labs, you've got Credo Tech, Broadcom, Semtech, Rambus. Look at what's going on. They're all moving up, okay? They are doing great. Look, this is how you know you're in the right sector. If you're invested in stock that is AI-based, they're all just marking up, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Keep an eye out on these companies, because the logic says that if the leader of the industry or the sector is doing well, these guys will more than likely do well. They have nothing anywhere close to the $4.5 trillion market cap that Nvidia has. But if these guys are piggybacking off the back of Nvidia, then today, if Nvidia does come through, then these guys will also start to deliver. And you can see some people are accumulating in this stock. This stock right here, what is it? Semtech. They're also up right now, 0.14% in the out-of-hours markets, but the volume is trading above average for the week. So that's good news for us, okay? And your goal realistically is to just see how these companies are doing overall, so that you can then say if Nvidia does well, these guys are going to do well also, okay? So what I'm trying to say to you is Nvidia, if it does well today, that's going to fuel the rally to the upside, in my honest opinion. What about Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin is just going to see the benefit of that. So we just go over to Bitcoin right now and just bring this up to a bigger time frame. You can see Bitcoin is doing something very interesting at this 200 EMA on the 22-hour chart. We just go over to the daily time frame and you can see that Bitcoin is not anywhere near any moving averages, but it has recovered this previous vector candle region. Whoops, my bad. Previous vector candle region right here. I just wanted you to embrace the bold for a minute, guys, so don't worry. So you can see it's done very well to respect this blue vector candle region right here. So if there is interest in Bitcoin to bid, that means the guys that are buying Bitcoin from here are going to want to see Bitcoin make a move to the upside, okay? We've got to wait and see if that's going to be the case. Now, this violet vector candle could be a clue, because it implies that volume is starting to get above average, but not as aggressively as a red vector candle. So that could also imply that things are starting to slow down on the bid side. Okay, so if Nvidia does well, Bitcoin will see the benefit of it. But now let me draw your attention to this. The yen. Japan have got a problem with inflation. It says here, for the first time in 48 years, Japanese core CPI inflation is higher than in the United States. Core CPI is coming in at 3.4%, above the US core inflation of 3.1%. The era of cheap money in Japan is coming to an end. What does it all mean? It simply means that the carry trade might start getting reintroduced, but I'm talking about the reverse of it. So for anyone new, let me break it down for you. In front of you is the Japanese yen, okay? And it's going sideways. When the yen moves up, the dollar goes down. The Japanese yen conventionally is deemed as a safe haven. So investors can say, you know what? I like the idea of going into yen because I can get a lot of it and I can park a lot of money in there. And it's usually deemed as a safe haven. But with it being a safe haven, you can also take advantage of the fact that they charge less than 0.5% on the interest rate. So it's not just a cheap valued currency, it's also cheap to borrow. So I'll go and get a whole load of yen and convert it into dollars and then get those dollars and put them to work in the stock market. Okay? But if their inflation is going up, what usually happens when your inflation's up? You have to increase your interest rates to control the spending. You have to ease off the free flow of money. But hold on. The dollar is absolutely smacked. If they were to unwind the carry trade, would that not mean that the dollar dominance is going to take a nosedive? Most definitely. How do they apply the carry? It's quite simple. You are an investor and you've got $100 million right here. Okay? There's your 100M. My poor attempt. Right? Now, with your $100 million, you've got the option to go to yen. You've got the option to go to dollar. Okay? But for the nature of demonstration, yen and then dollar. Right? You then see that the Japanese yen is very cheap at 0.5%. Okay? So that's happy days for you right there. You go over to the US dollar and you say to yourself, well, what is it now? 4.5%. Don't really want to be doing that. All right, then cool. So what am I going to do? I'm going to get my $100 million and buy a whole load of yen and lock in a rate of 0.5% to borrow that money. Then what am I going to do? I'm going to get my yen and convert it over to dollars because it's the only real way that I can get access to dollars without borrowing it. Okay? So I then convert my yen into dollars and then I get my dollars and then start going into the stock market and start buying stock. Technically, I'm making a massive saving of nearly 4% in interest rates of borrowing the US dollar. So I'll go over to the yen instead. So I then go over to the NASDAQ and I say, you know what, man, let's go buy some Nvidia. Where are we? Here we go. So we get some NASDAQ. We go and buy some Microsoft. We go buy some Tesla. We go buy some Google, Nvidia. You know, we take advantage of the fact that we've just managed to borrow some dollars without using the borrowing of dollar. Okay, so we just went over to the Japanese yen and just took advantage of their low rate at less than 0.5%. But now that their interest rate, or should I say inflation, is starting to go up, that's going to be a bit of a problem for the yields on the Japanese yen. Here we go. The bond market of the Japanese yen is trading lower. That's no good. It needs to be moving high because if their yields are going up too much, it's not sustainable in regards to their GDP. They can't sustain these sort of payments because you've got a devaluing yen and you've got inflation, and there's such a problem for them to have to maintain 1.63% on the 10-year bond of the Japanese yen. What are they going to do? Well, what they're going to do is, well, we'll just go back to this chart over here, what we had a minute ago. Where are we? So we then go into that story. Your $100 million has now been locked up. Whoops, want that. You got your yen. You've got your dollar. Remember, you took advantage of 0.5% on the interest rates rather than going in at 4.5%. You've borrowed your yen, you've converted it over to dollars, and you've put your dollars into the stock market. Japan turn around and say, you know what, forget this. We need to control inflation. We're going to increase our interest rate. That's when the shit hits the fan. Let me explain. You've borrowed yen, converted it to dollars. Well, if Japan increased the interest rate, that means if it goes to 0.75, you are now having to pay a lot of interest in terms of difference to the yen that you borrowed before. So what you're going to do, you've got to protect yourself. So you then sell your dollars. In order to sell your dollars, you've got to get it out of where it's already tied up. That means you sell your stocks, the stock market goes down. You then have a batch of dollars. Then you get your dollars and quickly go and buy back the yen. Then you return the yen back to the Japanese government. By that time, the Japanese yield themselves go down. The 10-year bonds market of the Japanese yen go up. The US bond market goes down. The stock market goes down. Euro and yen, and in principle gold, start to go up. In other words, if Japan come out and say they're going to increase their interest rates, the US dollar itself is going to get obliterated. It's already 98% away from its purchasing power. 98% away. It's lost 98% of it. Wow. How much lower can the dollar go? The dollar can go quite significantly low. We can go down to the 2015 era of nearly an 82 to the cent on dollar. That is just despicable. It can go to those levels. That would mean the euro is going to shoot up. That would mean that Bitcoin should, in principle, shoot up. Because your dollar purchasing power is just as good as done. That, in my opinion, is the event that I think Bitcoin should succeed in. Because then the idea of store of value comes into play. So, with that being said, we've got to make sure we keep an eye on the yen. We've got to make sure that Nvidia comes through with its earnings, because these two asset classes are going to be the reason why the bull run is going to sustain itself. Going into price action right now for Bitcoin, we can see it's taking a little bit of a tumble to the downside. Let's go to 4-hour time frame. Let's get rid of all of this. Happy days. Let's clear up our chart and break down exactly the logic of what we're witnessing happening right now. So, Bitcoin, no clear manipulations come into play. You've got the 4-hour candle that's taken a sweep to the downside right here. And of course, you've got to take into consideration that today there's going to be a lot of maybe sideways price action, because we need to wait and see if we're going to commit even more money into the markets or not. If Nvidia don't come through, then ladies and gentlemen, everything's going to go to the dustbin, and that it will prove that AI is a bubble. But quite frankly, it's not, because the endorsement and the activity of what's going on with AI is going up. Speaking of which, going into the Bitcoin ETF, we've actually managed to go up a little bit, and the balance is now 745,561. We're having great news with Ethereum, and that institutional demand for Ethereum outpaces the unstaked supply, and that is absolutely massive. But good old Tom Lee, who is deemed as the king of bulls, has said that he wants to see Ethereum get to around 15,000, I think it was. Yeah, he said he wants around 15,000 Ethereum. Is it possible for that to be the case? Can Ethereum outpace Bitcoin? Come on. Where are you? How many of you think that Ethereum can outpace Bitcoin? Let's quickly go over to Ethereum and have a look right now. Hold on. Here we are. So, in front of you, we've got Ethereum. 1-hour time frame, trading sideways. No real direction. No sweep of the Asian session high. No sweep of the Asian session low. There's nothing going on just yet. But you know what? It's not doing too bad, given that it is very close to its all-time high. This has been a very long time in making. Now, just for the nature of demonstration, you've got yourself this green vector candle block, all right? And this, in my opinion, is a good accumulation range for Ethereum. There's a strong possibility that if they can sustain between 4.2 and, of course, within the 4.832, and the narrative is favoring to the upside, then we're looking for Ethereum to break out. People are coming out with price projections of, oh, Ethereum's going to break above 5,000. Well, come on, man. We were nearly there anyway. So what? Just $41 less. Okay. All right. Get ready for it, because it's going to happen. Speaking of which, structurally, XRP is doing very well inside of this blue vector candle block, with the promise, and I say promise, that it's going to let you down, in the sense where, now I'm joking, there's a strong possibility that XRP is going to try and clear out this range to the upside. I'd be expecting it to come back into the $3.20 region. You're seeing the adverts coming into play with XRP and Ripple. Everyone's all excited about XRP. This thing made me shave my hair, but anyway, that's another story. Let's just quickly go over into the order flow of Bitcoin and Ethereum and have a look what's going on. So what we got here, Bitcoin, it's made the move up. It's come back down to recover most of the gains from the previous loss of the last couple of days or so. Let me just quickly go over to it. Yeah, let's go to the 1-hour time frame. And you can see here from the Jackson Hole Symposium story from Jerome Powell, this range right here is very important, which they did manage to tap, and then they made a reversal from, but we're looking for Bitcoin to sustain itself inside of this range, okay? Now, when we look at the order flow, we can see that we haven't really got that much going off. We have some Ethereum bids right here, 4.2 million at 4,555. And we do have some offers coming into action all the way up here. And some new offers have come in, 4,688, showing nearly $10 million worth of Ethereum to be sold. But as we keep on going up, I'm not really sitting there, another 10 million and then another 9 million right there. So that could be consistent with an iceberg order. You may have heard me say this before, where an iceberg order is effectively a batch of orders that are being distributed in the chart, and in the sense in the order book. So if they are having an iceberg order, that means they're going to sell Bitcoin at 113,385 for 10 million. They'll sell another 10 million at 114,000. Then they'll sell another 110 million at 16,000. That is in principle an iceberg order, which is an order made up of a massive order, but they're just splitting splitting it all up just so that they don't rock the market and they can get a good feel, okay? That's usually what happens with cryptocurrency because, you know, when you hear them say that they're going to be buying or they have bought nearly $2 billion worth of Ethereum or Bitcoin, it's not done in one purchase. I think the time when Tesla had agreed to buy Bitcoin and you saw that big, massive candle push up on Bitcoin, that was probably the reason why, because they just quickly came in and brought a ton load of Bitcoin. But I don't think we're going to ever get into that instance where you're going to hear them buying massive amounts of Bitcoin that can move the market. Its market cap is huge, and you would need to buy a significant amount of Bitcoin in one instance to actually move the market, which would actually rock the market. You think that a big purchase of Bitcoin is going to do really well for the market? No. If you imagine someone comes in and buys nearly $500 million worth of Bitcoin, okay, that is a lot of Bitcoin to put into the order book and get filled in one instance. Price would sit at one price point for about an hour, trying to get all the orders to come in and fill, just to satisfy that $500 billion amount. So instead, what they do is they take maybe $1 billion and they distribute that with algorithms and they just pump it into the chart. And that is evident with this sort of stuff here, where you can see maybe, for example, when Bitcoin was coming down, you can see here, someone bought $23 million at 110,500. You go down even further, they bought $1 million there, and you go down further and they bought 28 million down there. Look, 28 million when the initial order was originally 2.08. What does that tell you? Eyes on the chart. They're happy to buy at a discount. It's waking up certain investors. Okay. What's this? Tim, you've been ignoring my super chats. I have not. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Sorry, man. You haven't done anything wrong, man. Don't make me feel bad. I've already messed up by shaving my head. Anyway, is it because I asked about XRP going to $5? Speak what? So you think I've been ignoring your super chats because you asked about XRP to go into $5? Well, guess what? Now I'm ignoring your super chat because you have asked. Right now, is XRP going to $5? Don't want to speak to you, man. I'm joking. Listen, XRP going to $5. You know what? If it goes to $5, it goes to $5. All right? It's... I don't care. I just don't care. All right? I really don't. Quickly checking in on the federal rates right now. It's not... Listen, I'm going to be straight with you all. It's... No one cares about interest rates right now. They don't. No one cares about tariffs. Well, the impact of it, okay, is evident with Nvidia over here, all right? But right now, no one cares about interest rates, but we should be. It's gone up, okay? Now, today we don't have any other news other than Nvidia, okay? But going into tomorrow is going to be a very interesting one because unemployment claims. Fed is more focused on that now, which is absolutely dead. But anyways, quickly, let's go and have a look at some liquidations right now for Bitcoin. Hold on. Starting to see some interesting price action going into play. Don't really have any major... Here we go. We got anything here? No. Yeah, we only got just a little liquidation point right there, which will then start to open up a pool of liquidations around the 11,300 region. Got a stack of them down here around 108. 108,000. But... I mean, only a sour event would send Bitcoin down to the lows of this week, if I'm quite frank with you, ladies and gentlemen. Only a sour event, and that sour event would be Nvidia missing out on its earnings. So how are you going to play the earnings? Look, if you're going to be bold enough, okay, you can effectively say, I'm going to go trade it. Right? Oh, by the way, my trade from last night, okay, where I had the trades on, man, I took a nice 22 grand slap in the face. Got smacked. So that was a little bit shocking. But I'm currently in trades right now. Listen to this. I took a trade on XRP, didn't I? I don't even like to even hold the thing, but I took a trade thinking maybe we'll get some flavor. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's XRP fashion right there. There. This is why you don't trade it. This is why you don't hold it, because it just goes negative and stays negative and does nothing. Anyways, I'm not going to get into it. Where is it? Let me show you the loss from yesterday. Here we go. Where are we? Oh, yeah. Listen to this, right? I tried to, during the loss that I had yesterday. So here it is. So it was minus 10,000 there, minus 8,000 there, minus 700 there, minus 1,700. To try and recuperate some of the balance. I know I shit talk it, But you see this $1,033 gain right there, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think it was from? XRP, man. I know I talked down on it, but man, it was just an absolute joke. Anyways, what's going on? So yeah, that's where we are right now, in a bit of an interesting situation right now with Bitcoin. So let's see if it comes through and plays out in our favor. Don't trade XRP, sell it. Anyways, with that being said, the market is going to be opening in the next 4 minutes. I just want to quickly go over the volumes of what's going on right now with Nvidia just before we open. Okay, so Nvidia is up 0.27%. Volume is up only 0.051. Sorry, up 0.053% in the out of hours markets. Going into the day, let's go to the 50-minute time frame on the pre-market open. Yesterday did sell off a little bit, but just going into it all, I think we are going to be tipped for a nice little open from Nvidia. They're about to break a pivot point where, I mean, it's $200, man. I'm telling you, this thing will surpass $200, and my price projection for Nvidia is $500 and nearly a $6.5 trillion market cap. I don't care. It's got the best performance, but that doesn't mean that it can't retrace. It will always retrace, okay, before it continues up. All right. They did the 10-to-1 stock split just to make it accessible to investors. It's on its way back. So, just be very cautious with it, ladies and gentlemen. You're trading it. Bitcoin, what you're doing, 111,297. It's doing very well, given that they swept the Asian session lows. Quickly go over to the Solanos. So we've got Solana pulling back ever so slightly. Last night, Solana was an absolute joke. It was doing so well last night. And what I'm finding with Solana is some days it's trading much better than Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it does make gains. Bitcoin, Ethereum trading negative, then Bitcoin, Ethereum trading positive. Solana's having the day off. But when Solana decides to make the move, Solana will move aggressively. So just be very mindful with Solana. It's trading above the 5 and 13 EMA on the 1 hour time frame. That too is trading above the 50 EMA, which sustains the idea that short-term momentum is coming into play. Okay, quickly going over into the Bitcoin futures market, you see this fat gap right here. Of course, we're looking for them to try and take that gap, and given that they've stabilized this and closed the gap in the Asian session from last night, the idea and logic is that we would assume that Bitcoin does have the capacity to come into that. The only event that would send Bitcoin into that would be Nvidia doing well with its earnings. So just take that into consideration when you are playing cryptocurrency overall. Quickly going over into oil. Oil is making a very interesting snap reversal right there. Oil goes up, stock market goes down. But now we're seeing oil coming down. Donald Trump was talking about oil going down to $60 a barrel. I mean, it is an area of interest right now that we could see $60 getting taken out. Ethereum starting to move up. Bitcoin starting to hold out. Volatility index is trading up 1% for the morning. The market is not even open just yet. Have you liked and subscribed? What's going on? We're going to okay then. Tina, what's your long-term time frame on Circle? I'll bring that up for you right now. Right there. Circle. Where are you? Circle. Here we go. Right. I've said this before. Once funds get to 100, that's when I'm going to start buying Circle. It's currently at 70. All right. So volume is depleting, as in it's going, and price is going down. This is, in my opinion, sub discounts, man. It's significant discounts. Because look at the market cap, it's huge. Market cap is absolutely huge. It's making such a wide price movement lower, but the market cap isn't depleting, and they're still averagely trading the same amount of shares that they would normally be trading, okay? So just pay attention to the fact that the volume itself of average shares traded is going to grab investors' attention. So just take that into consideration, all right? It's a heavily traded stock, all right? So that means institutional players are playing it. So just take that into consideration when you're buying Circle. You've got to look for developments in the stablecoin marketplace. Who's going to dominate? In my opinion, I do believe that Circle is going to be part of major mergers and acquisitions in the future. So just take that into consideration when you do decide to buy it. Okay? Cool. So the market has... Tina, bro, what time will the Nvidia result be declared today? It will be declared at the close of the marketplace, okay? So when we go down to here, It says here after hours. So once the market itself closes, then we're going to get the news release, and then it's all happy days if it's going to be a good day for crypto or not. All right. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, mad love and respect. I will bid you all farewell. Hit the like button, subscribe if you like the boldness. If not, yippee-ki-yay, and I'll chat to you later on. Peace.